Hayato was a clueless idiot who bro-zoned his childhood friend because she looked like an ugly boy. However, when she grows up and becomes a hot baddie, he turns into a perfect gentleman and does everything to rizz her up. It all began when Hayato's best friend, Haruki, told him he was moving away to Tokyo. Saddened by the news, Hayato assured Haruki that he would never forget him and promised that he would come find him one day so they can compare pee-pee sizes. 7 years later, Hayato and his sister Himiko have moved to Tokyo for a fresh start. While he is preparing breakfast for them, Himiko wonders if she should curl her hair for her first day at school, but Hayato tells her that no matter what she does, she'll still look like an ugly chihuahua. Annoyed by this, Himiko tells him that she wants to make a good first impression, so people don't bully her for being from the countryside. A few hours later, Hayato introduces himself to his new class fellows, and they immediately start clowning him for being a country bumpkin. However, ignoring the laughter, Hayato takes a seat next to a girl named Nikaido who has the same last name as his best friend, Haruki. As Hayato introduces himself, Nikaido gives him a smile, which makes him think that if Haruki was here, he would totally fall for Nikaido. Just then, Hayato's new classmates circle around his desk and mockingly ask him about his upbringing in the countryside. However, Hayato is too slow to understand he's being trolled and innocently tells them that he had to poop in the farms, adding that it is actually his first time being surrounded by more people than farm animals. Hearing this, one of his classmates asks Hayato if he had any friends, so he tells them how he had this friend who was like his pet monkey, but then he moved away and they lost contact. Nikaido, who had been hearing this, suddenly breaks her pencil in anger and tells Hayato that it's not nice to call his best friend a monkey, but he assures her that he only said that because they were super close. Before she has the chance to say anything, Hayato's classmates butt in to ask him more questions regarding his life in medieval Ohio. By the end, Hayato has managed to win over his classmates, which makes Nikaido smile a little. However, Hayato is under the impression that Nikaido hates his guts and decides to clear up the misunderstanding. Just when he's about to address her, she gets called by the teacher and ends up leaving the class. Seeing this, a boy named Mori tells Hayato that he should stop crushing on Nikaido because she's a 10 out of 10 baddie who is not only super smart and athletic but also has a kind heart, with dozens of simps pining over her. Hayato quickly tells Mori that he's not into Nikaido and thinks to himself how different she is from the Nikaido he knows, who was completely wild and stupid. But this also makes him wonder why Nikaido is giving him such a cold shoulder when she's supposed to be a sweetheart. Later on, Hayato wanders around the school to eat his lunch in a quiet spot when he stumbles upon a girl fussing over her garden. Seeing this, Hayato gives her some tips to grow fruits, which amazes her, so he tells her that he used to help in a farm. While the girl is telling Hayato that she's from a gardening club, Nikaido sneaks up on Hayato and tells the shorty that the teacher is calling her. Once they're alone, Nikaido calls Hayato a womanizer for hoeing around with a girl on his first day. At this, Hayato tells her that the girl just reminded him of one of the sheep from his farm, which makes Nikaido laugh, and when she playfully hits Hayato, he accidentally calls her Haruki, since that's something he used to do. Before he can apologize, Nikaido gives him a wide grin, making him realize that his buddy Haruki is actually a hot chick. Just then, Nikaido is called by her friend, and Hayato notices a complete shift in her demeanor. Before leaving, Nikaido playfully tells Hayato to keep this a secret, which leaves him super confused, and later in class, Hayato is still thinking about it when Nikaido playfully throws a rubber on his head, making him sigh. After class, Hayato gets invited to a karaoke session, but Nikaido steps in and says that Hayato needs a campus tour. With that said, Nikaido drags Hayato outside and gives him a huge smile, which makes Hayato realize that she's the same Haruki he used to hang out with every day. After arriving at her place, Hayato feels a little uncomfortable sitting next to Nikaido, who is completely oblivious to it, and asks him why he was calling her a pet monkey. Hayato apologizes and tells Nikaido that he was just joking, but in response, she asks him to call her Haruki. Hayato agrees and tells Haruki that she's a completely different person around their classmates, and she reveals that she has been through a lot, which is why she's hiding her true self. Before he can ask what she means, Haruki challenges him to a round of video games. After that, Hayato heads home and has dinner with Himiko, who is telling him about how good it feels to not poop in the open fields. While they're laughing, Himiko notices that her brother is oddly happy today, so she asks him if something happened at school, and Hayato reveals that he ran into Haruki. Shocked by this, Himiko asks if he's the same old, and when Hayato tells her that Haruki hasn't changed, himself starts wondering if Haruki has gotten hot. The next day, Hayato finds the girl named Mitake still fussing over her garden, so Hayato decides to help her out. While he's working, Mitake admits that she was hoping the flowers would get freaky with each other and give her yummy veggies. Then midway, she freaks out and apologizes to Hayato for talking dirty. Just then, Haruki catches Mitake blushes and starts teasing Hayato for being a playboy. When Mitake runs away in embarrassment, Haruki tells Hayato that she has been listening to their freaky conversation since the start. Hayato asks her why she didn't come to save him before, and she tells him that she didn't want to look like his jealous girlfriend since she has a reputation to uphold. This leaves Hayato confused, and later during class, he notices everyone flocking over to Haruki, which makes him wonder why Haruki is pretending to be someone she's not. Just then, Haruki asks Hayato to come with her, which makes all the boys wonder if she has hots for the ugly goat lover. Hayato then tells everyone that Haruki is just taking him on another school tour, and once they're out of trouble, Haruki takes him to a storage room, revealing that it's her secret base. She then tells Hayato that she has often dreamt of eating together with friends, but till now she never had the guts to do so. Finding her hopeless, Hayato promises Haruki they'll eat lunch together from now on, which makes her happy, while he thinks to himself that nothing has changed between them. The next day, during lunch hour, Haruki gets asked by a couple of girls if she watched Korean dramas. She impatiently tells them she doesn't watch television at all, which leaves the girls shocked. As Hayato observes Haruki's growing annoyance, he tells her that someone wants her in the storage room, allowing her to escape the gossiping aunties. Shortly after that, Hayato enters the storage room, and Haruki thanks him for saving her back then. She then complains about how those conversations about Korean dramas bore her to death since she is more into movies like Interstellar and Fight Club. So in response, Hayato asks Haruki to find a group that's into those movies, but she tells him that only guys watch such movies, revealing that when she was in her old school, everyone thought she was Japanese Mia Khalifa just because she connected more with the male students. This causes Hayato to burst out laughing, and when Haruki hits him in annoyance, Hayato gently pats her head, saying that he usually calms his sister down like this. Hayato then sees Haruki pouting, and it suddenly makes his heart race, as finds her looking cute in the moment. Oblivious to this, Haruki complains to him that she sucks at girl talk, so Hayato tells her to pretend like she has been doing it for so long. At this, Haruki asks Hayato if he thinks she's wrong for making everyone believe that she's a sweet feminine princess. Hayato replies that he doesn't think anything because he only has one brain cell, and he saves that for when he has to find the perfect video to goon to. Feeling relieved, Haruki opens her lunchbox, revealing store-bought rice cakes. So when she sees Hayato's homemade rice croquettes, her mouth starts watering, while Hayato proudly reveals that he made those himself. For some reasons, Haruki feels sad over it, but before she can express her feelings, they notice a couple outside, which makes them duck quickly. When the duo hears the couple making out, they become awkward, so Haruki tries to lighten the mood by cracking a stupid joke. Later that day, Haruki arrives at Walmart, only to find Hayato at the Legos section. Seeing her, Hayato freaks out and is about to scram, when Haruki shows him a picture of the house she built using Legos. Hayato instantly realizes the house looks like his place from the village, but before he can comment on it, Haruki becomes obsessed with buying more Legos. After their grocery shopping, the two head out, and Hayato decides to carry Haruki's bags for her, which makes her happy, as she recalls the day when Hayato promised to have lunch with her. Arriving at her place, Hayato drops the shopping bags, and is about to leave, when Haruki asks for his Instagram account, but the idiot reveals that he doesn't even have a cell phone, and this makes Haruki very upset, because now she can't send him AI reels of a strawberry cheating on a banana. As Hayato returns home, he finds Himeko on her phone, and asks her if a cell phone is really that important. She replies that like every farm needs a tractor, a human being needs a cell phone to do daily tasks. When she asks why he's suddenly showing interest in modern technology, Hayato tells her how Haruki got mad at him for not having a phone. Himeko then tells her idiot brother that Haruki must have missed him a lot, and that's why she wants to stay in touch with him. This gets Hayato thinking that if he had a cell phone, he would have been able to stay connected with Haruki when she moved to Tokyo. The next day, Mitake is working on her garden, when Hayato comes and shields her from the rain. He He then notices that Mitake has successfully grown long, thick vegetables for your mommy, so he praises Mitake for working hard. At this, Mitake hands some of her vegetables to Hayato, claiming that it's because of him she was able to grow them. Hayato accepts the offer when Mitake asks him for his Instagram account, but he apologizes her, making her think that he's turning her down. However, Hayato quickly clarifies that he doesn't own a mobile phone because in his village they used to communicate through pigeons. As Mitake starts giggling, Hayato promises to her that he'll soon buy a phone. When Hayato arrives to class looking like a wet mop, Haruki quickly wipes his face using her handkerchief, shocking everyone. Noticing this, Hayato nervously takes the handkerchief and tells Haruki that he'll return it tomorrow, but she insists that he give him her phone number so she can collect it from his place. At that moment, Hayato realizes that Haruki is doing this on purpose, as he finds their classmates totally invested in their conversation. So when he tells her that he can't give him her phone number, everyone starts feeling sorry for Haruki. As her simps jump to her defense, Hayato clarifies that he doesn't have a phone, which shocks them so much that they drag Hayato outside to ask him how he has been living so far. Seeing this, Haruki shoots Hayato a funny look, and later after school, she tells him to get a phone, or else he'll be the only one who is not in the group chat. By now, Hayato has gotten frustrated and tells Haruki that he'll get an Android soon enough. But, instead of dropping the subject, she asks him why he doesn't own one in the first place, stating that even villagers have cell phones. Hayato admits that some of the farmers have iPhones because they want to record thirst traps of them using tractors. He finally tells Haruki that he doesn't own a phone because he doesn't know which one to get since there are so many models. Laughing at his simpleness, Haruki then tells Hayato that she can help him buy one. After promising to go cell phone shopping on the weekend, Hayato heads home to have dinner with Himiko, who tells him that she's craving ice cream. They both look at each other, realizing that this will be their first midnight grocery run. As they arrive at Walmart, Himiko notices a hot babe and tells her brother to check her out. Turns out, it's Haruki, so when she sees a girl on Hayato's arm, she becomes jealous and asks him if he's out with his girlfriend, causing him to freak out. Meanwhile, Haruki rambles on about how Hayato is a playboy for playing with so many chicks, until he stops her and introduces Haruki to his sister Himiko, shocking them both. Himiko then tells Haruki that she has grown into a beautiful girl, while Haruki proudly admits that this is just a camouflage, and deep down she's still the same tomboy. To this, Himiko reveals that Hayato had told her that she was an ugly gorilla, which makes Haruki super angry. Haruki then tells Himiko they should exchange contacts, because unlike caveman Hayato, she owns a cell phone. With that, Hayato quietly watches his sister and friend badmouth him until very late. The following morning, Haruki shows up with eye bags underneath her eyes, and while her simps are worried for her, Hayato knows that Haruki stayed up all night chatting with Himiko. Just then, Haruki receives another text from Himiko, causing her to smile. Seeing this, her simps wonder whether Haruki is in a relationship with a fat Discord mod who calls her Kitten. Before Haruki is labeled as a thoughty e-girl, Hayato loudly asks her if she's texting her girlfriend, which gives Haruki the opportunity to show everyone her picture with Himiko, as she reveals that she stayed up all night talking to her old friend. After class, in the supply room, Haruki thanks Hayato for saving her reputation in front of her simp, and hands him a pillow, claiming she got one as a gift for him. Following this, Haruki suddenly looks at Hayato all shy, which makes his wee-wee jump in excitement, until Haruki tells him she wants to have his lunch, because she forgot to buy some today. Hayato sighs, realizing that he won't be getting a guac, and quietly offers his lunch to Haruki. As they sit down to eat, Hayato states that he doesn't have extra chopsticks, but she tells him she has dozens of extra chopsticks from the convenience store. Hearing this, Hayato feels sad for Haruki that all she eats is frozen food, which can cause ligma. Not wanting to get emotional, Hayato tells Haruki that Himiko barely made it to school today because she was talking to her all night. Haruki then reveals that unlike her, Himiko is extremely good at makeup and fashion, which is why she was taking her suggestions to strengthen her guise as a perfect girl. Hayato is shocked to hear this, and when he looks at Haruki, he notices her sad smile. However, Hayato knows that he can't just ask Haruki what she has been through, so he gently pats her head, making her smile. After school, Himiko is waiting for Haruki, and the second she sees her, she grabs her hand and runs off, leaving Hayato in the dust. 15 minutes later, Hayato arrives at Haruki's place, and before he can ring the bell, Haruki runs out of the door, while Himiko tells him to grab her and bring her back in. Once they're all inside, Himiko lectures Haruki on having a fashion taste of a depressed emo guy. She then tells Haruki that if she continues dressing like a colorblind dork, she won't be hanging out with her in public, which makes poor Haruki sad. Seeing this, Himeko suggests they go shopping on Saturday, and when she looks at Hayato for help, he sighs and tells Haruki they'll go mobile shopping on Sunday. With everything sorted, Haruki goes to get drinks for her guests, and while she is home, Himeko angrily tells her brother to help Haruki, because despite her inner tomboy, she's still a girl. Hayato agrees, and goes to find Haruki, only to see her in a room covered with boxes full of empty takeouts. Haruki stutters to explain, while Hayato realizes that Haruki hasn't had a decent meal in ages. So he grabs her hand and tells Himeko they're going home. Once they arrive, Hayato whips up a warm meal for everyone, and as Haruki sits down to eat with them, she starts to tear up, realizing this is the first time she has had food with people. Seeing this, Hayato tells her that she should regularly join them for dinner, which shocks Haruki. When she asks Hayato why he's going so far for her, he casually tells her that friends look out for each other. The next day, Haruki and Himeko are out shopping, and seeing Haruki in her clothes, Himeko recalls that back then, she had a massive crush on Haruki. Shaking her thoughts, Himeko catches up to Haruki, and while she's having fun, Hayato visits their sick mother in the hospital. When he asks her how she's doing, she assures him that she's doing much better than before, but all Hayato can think of is the day she collapsed. Excusing himself, Hayato hauls out when he runs into Mitake carrying flowers. While he's complimenting her flower arrangement, an old man throws a bottle at him, but Hayato easily catches it in his hand, further upsetting the old man. When he accuses him of diddling his granddaughter, Mitake freaks out and explains everything to her gramps, causing him to apologize. He then asks Hayato if he has any ill intentions towards Mitake, but Hayato assures him that she just reminds him of someone, and thinks of a sheep. Meanwhile, Mitake grows frustrated with her gramps, so she grabs Hayato's hand, and leaves the old man fuming. Once outside, Hayato tells Mitake that her grandfather cares a lot about her, which makes her sad, and seeing this, Hayato recalls Himeko crying over their mother. He then asks Mitake if he can visit her garden, and she happily says yes, hoping that one day, Hayato would irrigate her garden. Later that evening, as Hayato's preparing food, Himeko tells him that Haruki was too tired to join them. In reality, Haruki went all out during the shopping trip because she wanted to dress up girly for Hayato. On the following weekend, Hayato is waiting for Haruki to show up when the village idiot suddenly gets a shock from the automatic screens. Just then, a girl grabs his hand and drags him to a more secluded spot. Once they stop, Hayato realizes that it's his tomboy friend Haruki who is dressed like a supermodel. Haruki then tells Hayato that he made her wait a lot, and as he stammers to apologize, Haruki teasingly asks Hayato if she's making him nervous. However, Hayato just tells Haruki that she looks great in makeup and should even consider plastic surgery. After being complimented and insulted at the same time, Haruki starts tweaking out, so Hayato assures her that he already knows she dressed up to get a reaction out of him. Still feeling embarrassed, Haruki grabs Hayato's hand and takes him towards the mobile shops. A few minutes later, Hayato thanks Haruki for helping him select a phone, but she asks him why he got the same model as her when there were so many other options available. Hayato tells her that he wanted to have matching phones, which startles Haruki for a second, until Hayato clarifies that if he runs into any trouble, he could just ask her for help. However, Haruki is still on the fence, and asks Hayato why he didn't get the same phone as Himeko's, since she'd be able to help him more in person. Hayato then tells Haruki that if he asks Himeko for help, she would call him a brainless monkey, and he simply doesn't want to be teased by his little sister. Haruki admits that's a good reason, while struggling to keep up with Hayato's pace. When he notices this, he apologizes and asks Haruki if he's walking too fast. She reveals that her sandals are eating her feet, and her skirt is way too short. If she walks too fast, then some fat chud will be able to see the good stuff. That's why she's walking like a turtle. When Hayato hears this, he feels sorry for women and considers turning into a blue-haired feminist, until Haruki complains that it's not fair, and he should also wear a skirt to understand what she's really going through. When Hayato calls her ridiculous for even suggesting that, Haruki pushes him to at least try on a skirt. However, Hayato counters that he would look like an ugly femboy, but Haruki tells him that since Himeko looks good in dresses, he would also look great in them. On that note, Haruki forces Hayato to use his new phone to find the nearest mall. Soon after that, they arrive at a 10-story giga mall, which leaves them both amazed, since it's also Haruki's first time seeing such a huge building. After walking inside, the duo immediately starts trying on different things, until they finally get tired for the day. As they step outside, Haruki tells Hayato that he always takes too long to decide what to buy, which makes them recall how he would struggle to pick an ice cream flavor from the neighborhood shop. After thinking about ice cream, Haruki's tummy grumbles loudly in protest, making her slightly embarrassed. Hayato then asks Haruki if she wants to eat something, and this gives her the idea of taking him to a karaoke place where they can eat and relax. After getting there, Haruki finally lets loose and sprawls on the couch, while Hayato tells her that her habits remind him of Himiko. Upon hearing this, Haruki closes the distance between them to show Hayato that she's not the same as his sister. Just then, the waitress walks in with their dessert, causing Haruki to freak out. Before leaving, the waitress politely tells them that this isn't the set of Naughty America, so they should keep everything family-friendly. Once she leaves, Haruki gets all embarrassed, stating that she must have looked like a hoe, and Hayato admits that it seemed pretty trashy, which causes Haruki to stuff her face in embarrassment. Seeing this, Hayato joins in, as he doesn't want Haruki to finish the cake all by herself. Once Haruki and Hayato are done eating, they start laughing over how silly they were acting. After exiting the karaoke, Haruki asks Hayato to define their relationship, since he knows she's a girl now. Hayato replies, they're the same old friends when they're together, so nothing has changed between them. Hearing this, Haruki happily runs ahead, and after catching up with her, Hayato notices a drama being filmed on the street. While he overhears the crowd talking badly about the leading actress, Takara Mao, Haruki runs off in the opposite direction, leaving Hayato confused. Just as Haruki is about to trip, Hayato catches her, and instead of asking any questions, he grabs her hand, and they start walking home together. On the way, Haruki tells Hayato that he looks taller than her now, remembering the time when she used to height-mog him. She then tells Hayato she lives all by herself, and before she can say any further, she gets all emotional after seeing a girl enjoying a family day out. Seeing this, Hayato realizes that Haruki shouldn't be alone today, so he asks her to join them for dinner, and she happily accepts the invitation. An hour later, Haruki has dinner with Himiko and Hayato, and after that she helps Himiko with her maths homework. Once it's finally time to go home, Haruki realizes that it's pouring outside, so she tells Hayato to give her an umbrella. However, at the last minute, she decides to run home in the rain, but Hayato grabs her hand and asks her to spend the night. Shocked, Haruki asks Hayato if the rain is making his trouser snake hard, but he tells her that he just doesn't want her to go home today. A few hours later, Hayato finds Haruki in his shirt and asks her why she didn't borrow Himiko's clothes. She then reveals how Himiko got mad with her when she told her that her chest is too big to fit in her shirts. As Hayato bursts out laughing, Haruki starts beating him for laughing at her. Then noticing Hayato's strong back, Haruki tells him they're so different from how they used to be during their childhood. In response, Hayato tells Haruki that he had a lot of fun with her today. He admits that since she left, he felt lonely, but after meeting her again, things have been fun again. With that, Hayato promises to Haruki that he'll always be there for her from now on, which makes her tear up. Seeing this, Hayato tells Haruki to lean on him, and after resting on his back, Haruki ends up falling asleep. After Hayato tucks her in bed, he hopes that one day, Haruki will share what's bothering her so much. The next day, Haruki wakes up happy, and when she goes outside, she finds Haitao fast asleep. Her heart suddenly starts racing, and before she can stop herself, she leans down to kiss Hayato. Later at school, Mori asks Hayato why he has a red spot on his neck, and he dismisses it by saying it must be a mosquito bite. He then takes his seat next to Haruki, and she tells him that she took a picture with her childhood friend. Horrified by this, Hayato grabs her phone and sees Haruki on top of him while he's sleeping. That's when Hayato realizes the mosquito was actually Haruki. Later at Hayato's apartment, Himiko and Haruki watch as he cooks in anger. Knowing she's the reason for Hayato's anger, Haruki apologizes to him, and in return he happily welcomes her home, making her tear up. Years ago, Haruki and Hayato were trying to catch a goat, but the little rascal kept slipping away like good fortune slips away from your hands. Eventually, the goat dashed towards Himiko, but just when he was about to headbutt her, Himiko saved the day. Hayato, filled with relief, told Haruki that his mother would have been really angry if he had allowed a girl to get hurt in his watch. This left Haruki upset, and she asked Hayato if he doesn't care about her. Hayato clarified quickly that he knew she would be okay, because they are partners, which made Haruki smile. In the present, Hayato wakes up from his dream, wondering why instead of seeing Mia Khalifa, he's getting dreams about his childhood friend. Later at school, Hayato helps Mitake fertilize the garden, claiming that vegetables are just like people, since they can be used for fun as well. As Mitake starts considering taking a cucumber to bed that night, Hayato suddenly notices her plot armor peeking through the shirt. While he is tweaking out, Haruki appears with a towel and tells Mitake that she is being too distracting for Mr. Virgin here. When Mitake realizes what's going on, she grabs the towel and runs away faster than your dad left to get the milk. Once they are alone, Haruki glares at Hayato for hanging out with Mitake, and before he can explain himself, she leaves angrily. Later in class, Hayato looks at Haruki for comfort, but she continues to give him the cold shoulder, making him feel worse than ever. Their teacher then tells them to study from last year's printouts, which leaves Hayato with no choice but to seek Haruki's help. But before giving him his handout, Haruki loudly tells him not to stare at her handouts like he was staring at Mitake's bubble plots. This riles up the entire class, and the boys start teasing Hayato by calling him a man of culture. Some of them even start revealing their own disgusting fantasies, like how they're into a furry's armpits. Just then, Haruki gets up and announces that Hayato is into huge bazookas that are capable of deleting someone's granny. When everyone hears this, they start calling Hayato a freaky peasant boy, while Haruki flashes an evil smile for getting him into trouble. After school, Haruki shares with Himiko how she got her brother in trouble, which makes her laugh. She tells Haruki not to go bald, since she's too evil and funny. During this time, Hayato begs the girls to change the subject, because he can no longer tolerate the teasing. After dinner, Himiko and Haruki are playing FIFA, when Himiko casually mentions that Hayato shouldn't be ogling other girls, since he already has 2 cuties in his life. Haruki agrees, and mindlessly says that Hayato should just settle for her. By the time she realizes what came out of her mouth, Haruki freaks out and runs home, leaving the siblings confused. Moments later, Himiko enters her bathroom and wonders if Haruki actually likes Hayato. Meanwhile, Haruki runs a cold shower on herself to calm down, but it just makes her wonder whether she is afraid that some baddie will steal Hayato from her. After the shower, Haruki receives a call from Himiko, who reveals in panic that she has gained 4 kilos. This makes Haruki drop her ice cream, and she runs into the bathroom to weigh herself. To her shock, she has also gained weight, which leaves her utterly depressed. The next day at school, Hayato asks Mitake if she knows anything about dieting, but it makes her think that Hayato is indirectly telling her that she needs to be off-putting. Hayato quickly clarifies that he is only asking because his sister wants to go on a diet, and since he does all the cooking, he wanted to know if she knew any recipes. Feeling relieved, Mitake praises Hayato for being a good brother, and tells him that if he's looking for diet plans, then he should seek Ariana Grande's help, since she has been skinny maxing for a long time. Hayato thanks Mitake, and says that they should swap recipes with each other, given how they both cook. Before Mitake can reply, they hear a girl confessing to a blonde Chad. Mitake then informs Hayato that the boy is someone called Kaido, and he is extremely popular with the ladies. However, everyone knows that Kaido will keep rejecting all the baddies, because he only has eyes for Haruki. When Hayato hears this, he feels bummed that someone wants to do the dirty tango with his childhood friend. As he arrives to call, he finds Haruki surrounded by the other girls in their class. Mori then reveals they are talking about dieting since bikini season is just around the corner. He warns Hayato not to be around girls who are dieting, because they are emotionally unstable and will bite your head off for breathing too close to them. When Hayato asks how he knows this, Mori reveals that he's already on his 5th life, all because he kept annoying his girlfriend while she was dieting. Then out of curiosity, Hayato asks how long they've been together, so Mori reveals they were initially childhood friends, but once they started feeling things in their special place, they became lovers. With that, Mori advises Hayato that if he wants to be supportive of a girl who is on a diet, then he should just shut the F up. During lunch break, Hayato catches Haruki looking miserable with her crappy vegetable juice, so he kindly offers his friend chicken. Haruki angrily turns him down, claiming she is becoming Grok the Destroyer since she has gained 4 kilos. Hayato doesn't understand what the big deal is, but the moment Haruki hears the word big, she starts crashing out and tells Hayato that she's becoming a big pig. After calming down a bit, Haruki suddenly apologizes to Hayato. When he asks why she's sorry, Haruki replies that he looked a little angry since morning, which made her conclude that it must be because of the prank she pulled yesterday. In reality, Hayato is just worried that Kaido will steal Haruki from him. To make sure that doesn't happen, Hayato starts patting Haruki, telling her that if she diets too hard, she will go bald. When he adds that he loves her soft hair, Haruki smiles and promises to take good care of herself, before suddenly freaking out. Throwing a pillow at his face, Haruki asks Hayato how long he has been luring innocent women into his bed with his cheap riz. Hayato tells Haruki to calm down, revealing that he gives Himiko the same treatment, which briefly makes Haruki think whether he's into Sweet Home Alabama stuff. Then changing the subject, Hayato tells Haruki that as someone who is popular, she should be used to these things, but Haruki reveals that she has always kept boys at bay. She explains that when celebrities start dating, they run into scandals, which ruins their reputation, and that's why she will never make the mistake of dating someone. While Hayato understands what she's trying to say, he believes that something bad happened in Haruki's life to make her so guarded. Later that day, Hayato can't figure out what to make for dinner, since his favorite girls are on a diet. He suddenly decides to ask Saki, one of Himiko's friends, for some advice, though Himiko warns Hayato that Saki may not reply to him since she doesn't like him too much. However, when Saki receives a message request from Hayato, she immediately starts freaking out, before nervously asking what he wants. Hayato quickly explains his problem, but Saki replies that she's never needed to go on a diet, hoping to impress him. Unfortunately, her plan backfires, as Hayato takes her response as a sign that she hates him and awkwardly ends the conversation by wishing her goodnight. However, Saki doesn't want the conversation to die, so she starts double texting him. The next morning, Hayato wakes up and finds his chat box filled with Saki sending him cooking recipes. While scrolling through his messages, Hayato comes across a picture of Saki with a text asking him to rate her outfit. Not thinking much of it, he tells her she looks good and that Himiko would probably like the outfit too, which leaves Saki flustered. At school, Mori peeks at Hayato's phone and spots Saki's picture, where she's dressed in a traditional yukata. The other boys immediately crowd around Hayato to discuss that girls look hot in traditional clothes. When Haruki arrives, they start begging her to wear a yukata too, but she jokingly tells them to get lost. Watching this, Mori remarks that Haruki seems much more approachable lately, which can only mean the rumors about her having a boyfriend are true. Hayato is left in shock, but before he can process it, Kaido walks into the classroom and asks for Haruki, which further breaks Hayato's mind. He observes as Kaido asks Haruki to come out with him, who agrees and follows him. Before it's too late, Hayato stops them, claiming he needs Haruki's help to find a club. Not thinking much of it, Haruki tells Hayato to join them. However, Kaido visibly looks upset, telling Hayato that it's weird for him to join a club in the middle of the term. Hayato coldly replies that he's a transfer student, so he had no other options. Kaido then asks Hayato to join the soccer club, but he tells him he wants to join the gardening club, since he doesn't see the point of a soccer club. Kaido doesn't seem offended by it, and reveals that he wants to become the next Lionel Messi, which is why he's in the soccer club. Wanting to sound just as cool, Hayato tells him that gardening is just as rewarding. He then shows him some weird-looking vegetables, claiming the best part of growing veggies is that you can sell them to desperate, lonely women. This makes Haruki laugh, and she starts slapping Hayato's back, before telling him that he must really love gardening. Haruki soon realizes she's letting out her true self, so she quickly walks ahead of them, leaving the boys in the dust. While she's away, Kaido tells Hayato that he believes he just saw Haruki's true self. Hayato replies rudely, saying he doesn't know what he means. Despite his cold behavior, Kaido extends his arm, and Hayato reluctantly shakes his hand. Returning to class, the boys surround Hayato, calling him hero for blocking Kaido's attempt to get into Haruki's skirt. As Hayato stands there speechless, Kaido returns, asking for the picture of that weird vegetable. While they're talking, Haruki heads outside, where she spots Mitake toiling in the garden. At first glance, Haruki finds her cute like a sheep, before wondering if she is the reason why Hayato wants to join the gardening club. This makes her tear her hair out in frustration, and Mitake quickly asks her if she's okay. Haruki confesses that something has been bothering her, so Mitake tells her to play in the dirt, claiming it's very therapeutic. A few minutes later, Haruki is helping Mitake, admitting that it's fascinating how a flower turns into a vegetable. Hearing this, Mitake shares with Haruki that when she was going through a difficult time, gardening helped her get through it. In the meantime, Himiko complains about the lunch Hayato has packed for her, which surprises her friends, since their brothers only practice WWE moves on them. Himiko continues yapping about how Hayato cleans her room without permission, and that he is the reason why she's turning into a plus-size American woman. However, her classmates are so fascinated by Hayato that they push Himiko to bring him to their next karaoke session. Himiko has never been invited before, so she becomes excited as the hoes in her class promise to treat her. That afternoon, Himiko enjoys her first karaoke session and thinks it would be fun to come here with Hayato and Haruki. To her surprise, she runs into Haruki and her friends, who instantly recognize her as the girl from the photos. Himiko, on the other hand, gets nervous and hides behind Haruki, who protectively pats her head before telling her friends to stop scaring her. Just then, Himiko receives a text from Hayato telling her to do some grocery shopping, making her whine about carrying the bags. Haruki offers to help her and tells her friends she'll be going. While they walk away, the girls think that Himiko and her brother must be the reason why Haruki seems happier now. Meanwhile, Himiko tells Haruki that she was shocked by how mature she acts around others. Haruki replies that she's like that around others, making Himiko realize that the regular Haruki only comes out around her and Hayato. While they're talking, they spot a huge dog running wildly. Without thinking, Haruki runs to tackle the dog, causing Himiko to call Hayato for help. A few minutes later, Haruki sits on the bench, with her leg injured, while Himiko scolds her for risking her life. Mitake apologizes, claiming that Haruki was trying to protect her. When Haruki hears her talk, she believes Mitake is on the spectrum, so she slowly asks her if the dog belongs to her. Mitake replies that it was her neighbor's dog who got excited to see her, and that's why he caused so much trouble. Observing their interaction, Haruki playfully tells Himiko that Mitake is a normal, healthy person who studies in the same grade as her. Feeling embarrassed, Himiko apologizes to Mitake, who waves it off, before telling Himiko that she seems much more fun outside school. Himiko then asks if they're friends, but Mitake panics and says there's no way Haruki would consider someone like her a friend. However, Haruki replies they're not just school friends, but they're gardening buddies, which makes Mitake happy. Just as she leaves with the dog, Hayato arrives, scolding Haruki for injuring herself. Before she argues, he tells her to hop on her back, since her leg is all busted up. Despite being shy, Haruki gets on Hayato's back. While they walk ahead, Himiko smiles, recalling how Haruki used to rely on her brother even in the past. Meanwhile, Hayato teases Haruki by telling her that she's heavier than she used to be during their childhood, which makes them all laugh. The next day, Hayato spots Haruki and Mitake working in the garden together. He's surprised and asks what happened between them, so Haruki reveals that she's now gardening buddies with his side chick. Hayato is happy for her, but warns Haruki to be careful, since spending too much time in the sun might make her eligible for the N-word. To get back at Hayato, Haruki suddenly pulls his shirt up to check his complexion, which makes Mitake blush. She asks them to keep it family-friendly, before running away in embarrassment, leaving Haruki and Hayato to just smile sheepishly. Later in class, Kaido shamelessly sits in front of Hayato, asking him what he's up to. He coldly replies that he's not interested in being friends with him, believing Kaido is doing all this to unlock Haruki's mystery box. Just then, Haruki grabs Hayato's hand and tells Kaido that she has plans with him. Kaido asks if he can join them, but Haruki immediately tells him to piss off, leaving Hayato terrified that she'll drop her facade. Once they're away from him, Kaido wonders how Hayato managed to get Haruki to drop her ridiculous act. Meanwhile, in the library, Hayato asks Haruki what's going on with her. She finally admits that she's starting to think that it's time for her to drop her perfect girl act and just live her life. Before she can proceed, her foot gives away, and she falls directly on Hayato. While they're all snuggled up, they hear a couple smooching, which freaks out Haruki, causing her to run away, while Hayato is left confused. Even during class, Haruki acts strangely, until Mori's girlfriend Emma and the other girls drag her outside, once again leaving Hayato confused. Later that day, Hayato walks in his apartment, only to find Haruki in an apron. She reveals that she wants to help him with chores, which pleasantly shocks Hayato. He accepts her help, and together, they make a world-class dinner. Then, over meal, Himiko suggests they check out the cinema, which immediately gets Hayato excited since the only movie he has seen is 2 cows smashing in his farm. Do you think Kaido is in love with Haruki? Comment part 7 to see what happens next, and as always, like and subscribe for more anime content.